Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm off to a little bit of a late start today, but here's what we're going to be doing. And happy Groundhog Day, I guess this is. And I haven't heard the results yet. Has anybody heard them? I didn't even watch to see if we're going to have extra winter or not. But let me see if I can slide this over a little bit. Nope, the other way. Let's go this way. There we go. Okay, so let me get my other screen up. I have to be the tech guy and everything here, so bear with me. Oh my gosh, everybody's here. Thank you for coming. Yeah, and Jan, I did get your mail. Thank you very much. All right, so let's have a look here. And I want to talk about making your own watercolor sketchbook and why you would even want to do that. Gotta get another screen up here. There we go. Okay. Get that out of the way. There, I can see everything now. All right, so here's a watercolor sketchbook that I made myself, and it's from one full sheet of watercolor paper. Now, watercolor paper is typically 22 inches by 30 inches. And one sheet, just one sheet, will make an entire book. So I can get a lot of painting into something like this. So this type of book isn't like a regular book, though. This is what they call a meander book. So meander, meaning that the pages don't turn necessarily the way you think they're going to. So immediately when I open my book, like this, and then I turn the page, and I turn the page. Oop, wait a minute, this one's different, right? So this one starts turning another direction, and so on. So I can paint on all these different surfaces in my book, and I have all this space to work in, and I can work this way. I can work this way. I can work just single pages, you know, a little. And this is a sketchbook. It's for nothing but practice or recording things. You can see it. It's not a. This isn't one of my best sketchbooks where, you know, I've got like really nice stuff in it or anything like that. This is just sort of my own recording or testing out of stuff. So let's have a look at this. And before I start cutting or doing anything here, I want to talk about why you would even want to do this, because you can buy a watercolor sketchbook, right? For me, I like painting my paintings on Arches paper. So if I want to do my practice, I want to do it on the same kind of paper, because any of you out there who have done any watercolor, and I know there's a lot of you, you'll know that every type of paper that you switch to is going to give you a different result. So you change papers, you have to change your painting style. So I like to do all my practice on the same type of paper that I'm using for my paintings. Sorry, I gotta get a drink of water. All right, so this is my book. Now I'm going to take a full sheet. Okay, so I'm using Arches because that's what I usually use. This is 140-pound cold press paper, and for this. To make this book, you're going to need a couple of things. This over here. You're going to need, of course, a full sheet of watercolor paper, a cutting mat, a knife, a utility knife, a long ruler, like a yardstick. Or a meter stick, if that's what you want to call it. And I like to use this tool, which is a stylus. Okay, a stylus has a little ball on each end. It's metal on each end. It looks like a point, but it actually has a little tiny ball on the end, and it's for scoring. All right, so I can score but not cut my paper. So not an actual something that's going to pick. So I mean, you could use a boning tool or something like that as well. You know, anything that doesn't have a very sharp point. Now, oh, and I guess you'll need a pencil as well. So, so for this, I cannot stress enough how important it is to have accurate measurement. Okay, so the nice thing about these cutting mats is it can line up your marks. Okay, so if I am working on this cutting mat, try not to knock my mouse off the table. Right, so there are measurements on my cutting mat, and I can square it up with the lines to make sure it's straight. And I want to mark the mark at 15 inches here. And then half of that, which would be 7.5. Five, 7.5. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So we would have 22.5 right there. And let me move this paper out of the way for a second. And 22.5. All right, so I'm gonna mark these lightly with my pencil. And even like an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch or a 32nd of an inch, it can all make a difference in how well your book folds together. So measure very carefully. This isn't a hit and miss type of technique. But the great thing about this particular type of book is that you don't need to do a bunch of gluing or binding. You know, you don't have to get all the binding stuff. You don't have to, you know, cut individual pages and all of that. And I like the idea that when you open up your sketchbook, you actually have a multiple of formats that you can use. So, okay, so I want to now divide, this has got 4 sections. I want to divide the width the same way. Now, here's something that you have to consider. This has a decal edge, okay, so it's not perfectly straight. So the one thing you might want to do is make a straight edge, unless you want decal edges in your book, but then they'll show up sort of in random pages. So I'm going to clean this off. So what I need to do is take my knife, and I'm just going to come down here and line this up nice and straight. And I'm going to trim off the decal edge. What a shame, right? It's such a nice little edge, but I'm going to trim this off. And trimming this off straight is important as well. So I'm going to move this up to the line. Make sure everything's straight. Double check everything. You know the carpenter's rule: measure twice, cut once. And it looks a little cockeyed, but it seems to be straight. So hold the ruler firmly, because you don't want it shifting or anything as you go. Okay, so there's one decal edge removed. I'm going to move this up to the other side. Make sure I'm lining it up here at the top of the line. I'm using the lines on my, sorry, I'm leaning right over here, but I'm using the lines at the top of my cutting board as my accuracy. And I have markings on the sides here that I can go by for making a straight line. So I'm going to go right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks up. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this part. I'm not cutting straight here because I'm on a funny angle for the camera. There we go. I have nowhere to walk here and it's awkward. Okay, so that's, make sure that's cut off straight. There we go. Okay, so those are garbage. Now I have to find the accurate measurement. And we now have, with that trimmed off, we actually do have 22 inches. And it should be the exact same on both sides, which it is. All right, so 22 inches we can divide easily. That'll be 11. One thing when you're measuring something like this, get your eye directly over the spot that you are measuring, because if you're looking at an angle, you might hit the wrong line. So I look straight down on something when I'm trying to measure it. Sorry, probably got my head right in the way there. 11 inches here, and 11 inches here. Probably that. You're probably getting an extreme close-up of me here, but there we go. The sizing. Nothing happens with the sizing. I don't pre-shrink my paper in this case, so the sizing's all there. Yeah, it's fine. So I am now going to divide that again. So we need 5.5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Get my head right over it to measure it. And 5.5 on this side. I'm telling you to put your head over it, but I'm putting my head right in the way, so I'll try my best not to do that. This side. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. And 5.5. Now I'll do the mark and then I'll look over it to check it. Yeah, see, it's a little off there. Okay, so now I'm going to pencil these lines. All right, so now I have all these sections. I know that's really hard for you to see on the camera. I'm trying not to do it too dark, but But where these marks are, and what I'll do, just so that you can see, is I'll put a dark spot where they all intersect. So then you'll be able to see all of these intersections where they cross. All right, so it's divided 4 ways this way, 4 ways that way. See if I can I might be able to get in a little closer. There we go. That might be a bit better. There you go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with this, and I've got a little mini version here, is I'm going to take the full sheet and start cutting it. And, well, actually I'm going to score it first. So what this is going to turn into is this. Okay, so if I open up this, let's move this off for a second so you can see it better. And you can see that what I'm going to do with a full sheet is basically this. All right, so you can see how this was originally one full sheet of paper. And then what I did was on all those parts that I scored, I either cut or like I folded them all up, I should say. And that creates our book. So I'm going to cut mine one way, and then I'll show you a variety of different ways you can cut it for a variety of different books. So I'm going to have to move my mouse out of the way here. I'm going to knock it off the table. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go along these lines and score them. Don't try to fold your watercolor paper without scoring it first, because if you do, what'll happen is it'll sort of crack and it won't fold nicely, right? So if you want to fold it accurately, so I'm going to use the larger ball here. If you want it to fold accurately, like nice clean fold, then score it first. The sizing. I'm just reading some comments here. Just bear with me here for a second. Because I didn't really read them all through at the beginning, and I'm catching up here. So good morning. How often do I use my meander book? Quite a bit, more for plein air painting than anything else. But because when I'm in my studio, I'm usually doing paintings, but when I'm at plein air and I want to keep it light and just something I can keep in my car or in my backpack, or like, you know, even a small one. If you made a small one like this to keep in your you could put that in your purse and always have a little sketchbook, right? So there's always that. And yeah, I use it more for plein air painting. So I'm a fair weather painter, so I'll paint when the weather's good. But so I won't be painting this week. Apparently we're supposed to have a big storm, but most of the time during summer months and things like that, I will do that. And definitely if I'm traveling. If you're traveling somewhere and you're trying to keep your load light, it's great to have. Where's my mouse? I can't scroll through the comments. I put my mouse away. Let's see here. Oh dear. Okay, you had a power blip. That's no good. Okay, so there was a question. I thought I saw a question about the sizing, but honestly, nothing happens with the sizing. The paper's already sized. We're not touching that. So it's just like painting like I would normally paint. And so let's start scoring this. So I'm going to score every part of it. So I'm going to line up with my pencil lines here. And hold this ruler firm. It is important to hold the ruler firm, because if you're not holding it firm and it does this little, you press one way and it just shifts a little bit more and a little bit more. And before you know it, you've got book that's not going to be square. All right, so measure carefully, score carefully. I'm going to use the larger end of this, and I'm going to give it, you know, fair pressure to score this. Make sure this is right. Right on the line. Okay. The last of the verticals, and let's see how well it folds now. Like, it'll fold right on that line. It'll fold easier once I get the other side done. I'll do that. I'll wait and do it all together. Right. So it does take a bit of pressure to get this right. So everything's scored, and now I'm going to start some cutting. So I've scored, and now I'm going to cut. And so I'll need my utility knife, and I'm going to cut along some, not all, but some of the score lines. So to begin with, there's a number of ways I can cut this, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm going to start this first one, and I'm going to cut not from the top, but from here down. Right on that line. Okay, so there we have it cut. Now, the next cut isn't going to be the same, because well, I could actually make it the same, but I'm going to, that would make a really weird book. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to end before the last one here. So if I was making this into multiple pages, like let's say I divided this up into, 6 sections for, a smaller book with more pages kind of thing, then I would just be alternating this each time. So I want the book to go open, 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 and then I want to be able to cross over here. So it's kind of like a maze. You want to be able to follow the maze all the way through it. It has to be connected, right? So I'm going to cut, and I'm going to stop right here at the last section. Okay. Now, if I can come down here, I'm gonna leave this one connected. Right. And now the fun begins. All right. So I start folding, and it doesn't matter if I fold up or down to begin with. I can go either way, because you will paint on both sides of this in the book. but it's scored so it will fold nicely. And I just fold one way, and then the next one the next way. Okay, so I can't fold it in, so I have to fold it back. And then I keep folding. And again, I have to fold it back. And all the folds are folding easily because I did the scoring. Okay, so I did not do a very good job of measuring this, but it's partly because I'm trying to keep my head out of the way and do all of this stuff, but so I'm a bit off on some of this, and it looks like it's this one here, but this is what I've got right now, which is pretty bad, but that's awfully bright. Let me turn this down. All right, so maybe you can see that better. So I have my book, and now I'm not too thrilled with this one section that is like that. So I think I might have to change that fold. Let's see if I can do that. If I can move that fold over. I'm going to have a wonky book here, but nothing like live. Oh, I see what's wrong. It's this line here. Oh, I've cut something really off kilter here. That's why. Aha. See, something's not measured right, and I can see that it's this one here. Okay, so I didn't get 7.5, I got 7 1/4, and that's why I'm off. That's why I'm off. I'm off by 1/4 inch, and that'll do the trick. And that's why I said measure very carefully. So it should actually be here where that mark is. Right here. That's where that should be. That's why it's so off kilter. Now, can I fix it? Probably not at this point, but what I can do is trim off that part of my book. So I measured something wrong, and that'll show you that it is important to measure that. Nothing like live and screwing up, right? See, it happens to me all the time. All right, so I'm going to do something weird here. I'm going to try trimming this. Okay, now I'm going to take that out of there. And I'm going to fold the last part of this. I'm going to put a score in it and fold it now. And the new line, the new fold, and things should line up a little better. There we go. There we go. I saved it. Okay, so now it's a good book. But I will have one page that's a little shorter. That's the only thing there. So I've got one page that's a little shorter, but the book itself is fine. So what I do at this point is I would take a piece of heavy cardboard. Now the back of like a drawing pad or something like that has that extra thick cardboard. That's good to use. Or you could even use mat board, but this one I use mat board and it does warp a little bit. So you can see maybe on the camera that it's, here you might be able to see that it's here. You see it's a little warped. So it kind of curves a little bit, but it's fine. And you can decorate it with any way you want, doesn't matter. So what I would do is I would just take some acrylic gel medium and I would take this first page, cut a piece of cardboard the same size as this, maybe a little bit bigger, decorate it whatever way you want, and then just glue a front and a back onto it. And that's it. Done. So I keep mine together usually with just an elastic band, but I mean you can do something fancy if you want to. If you want to do like a Velcro thing and get all fancy and pretty on it. But you know what? Even if you're not using this for yourself, or you try this out and you like the idea, it is a fantastic gift for an artist. So you have an artist friend that you want to make something for. This is the thing to give them, right? Yes, you could make a large version. Here's the thing about the rolls of watercolor paper though. If I were working from a roll of arches, because I have one too, and you know, if you've used it, that you don't just roll it out and it's flat. You roll it up and it's very curly. So it's very challenging to work with it when it's curled like that. So I would be inclined to take the big sheet, stretch it first. Once it's dry, take it off the whatever it's stretched onto, and then do my cutting. Because it won't go flat until you wet it, right? But yeah, you can make this mini, like the one I showed you. You can make a mini sketchbook or a larger sketchbook, or you could make a really long sketchbook. And I'll talk about that for a second. Well, actually, a long sketchbook would just mean you start with a very long piece of paper and you'd end up with longer pages, more like a panorama or something like that. So you can try all kinds of things. Now, if you want to experiment, just take a piece of printer paper and try it out and see if you can get your head wrapped around how this works. But let me talk. I'm going to get a marker because it'll show up better. Bear with me there a second. I just want to get a Sharpie. Okay. So for this, let's use 2 pages here. For this, I'm going to zoom right in. Now get ready for a screenshot, okay? Because I'm going to draw this out and then you'll have all the diagrams. Oop, wrong way. Hang on a second. Okay. Here we go. So I'm going to show you the format that I just used, and that is your square, and it's cut this way, fold, then it's cut this way, fold, cut this way, fold, and all the rest of it is folded. The folds are dots here. Okay, so that's how this one was cut. But there are lots of alternatives. I'm just reading comments again here. Yeah, the edges, the decal edge should be trimmed off when you're doing this. So, what gives you the willies? Sorry, I'm reading some questions here, and I'm getting some questions about, or comments about something giving you the willies. I have to read back to see what that's all about. I bet it's snowy in Sarnia. Yeah. All right. Oh, probably the cold, right? So, all right. So, yes, you can do that large version with the roll, but as I said, you want to stretch your paper first to get it flat, because it won't stay flat otherwise. You'll have an impossible time trying to cut and fold a paper that's all curled up, and then your book won't even lay flat. So you need to stretch it and trim off the decal edge. Yes, they should be cut before measuring, exactly. Oh, hi, Ann. Okay, so what is the size of the pad full sheet from when you pull from pad? Any size you want. So I can make, like I said, you can start with a really small piece of paper, or you can start with a full sheet. But I find, for a nice moderate-sized sketchbook, working from a full sheet gives me quite a few pages, and I can make a good sketchbook from that. So, but I had one measurement out, so that's why this went a little wonky, but I saved it, so I'm okay. Let's go back to the formats in which you can cut this. Okay, so if I had the same formula and I did all my folds like this, and then now I could also cut it this way. I could cut it like that and make my meander book. I could take a long sheet like this. If I wanted to make say a portrait, or not a portrait, a portrait, I could make it very tall, but panorama type of sketchbook, I can do it this way. So I can take this one side and divide it this way. And then I can take this and divide it more than quarters. Or no, I could just make it like this, right? So I can make it, I could just divide it in half. If I wanted a long, skinny book. Oh no, I have to do the quarters. Pardon me. Yeah, because there's no way to do this without actually just cutting it in half. So I would need this. So if I wanted a longer sketchbook, I could do this. Right, so each of the pages would be long and skinny, but it would be in a smaller sketchbook style. Oh, cutting your finger. Oh, yes, that would get, ooh, cutting your fingers would give me the willies too. And I will admit I have actually done that. I cut the end of my finger off once. It was not fun. Yes, so do be very careful with that knife, all right? I actually go pretty slow when I'm working so that, you know, I don't just get a little overly zealous and cut off my finger. After doing it once, I'm really careful. So yes. And yeah, and just do your practice on a piece of typewriter paper, or typewriter paper. Listen to me, I'm not that old. On a piece of printer paper. So try all different formats. Maybe you want to do a book with not very many pages. You just want to do a small book and not very many pages. Well, you could divide this into thirds. And thirds are a little more challenging to divide, but that'll work. So then you would just do this. And it would all be connected. So as long as you've got a path through which the where there's a fold connecting every piece of that paper, you can come up with all kinds of designs for ways that they fold and that sort of thing. You could do a square one. Start with a square paper, and that's what you'll get in miniature. Start with a long paper, and that's what you'll get in miniature when your sketchbook is done. So I usually make the sketchbook, and then I make the cover, and then I glue them together. So for glue, I use acrylic gel medium. And the reason I use acrylic gel medium instead of something like Aylmer's glue or wood glue or something like that, like school glue and wood glue and those sorts of things, as soon as you start getting water on your paper, it starts softening up the glue. So the acrylic gel medium will, and it doesn't matter if it's glossy or matte or anything like that, but if you use the acrylic gel medium, once it's dry, it's dry. So for your cover, here's what I would suggest. Now this one's glued together, but underneath this page, like I've come right around the edges and folded it under. So I folded, like sort of wrapped up the cover instead of just cutting the front. Then you don't have like a frayed or a rough edge on the edge of the paper. The cover of it actually wraps right around. And use anything you want. Use wrapping paper if you want to, or if you want to do something a little more archival, just decorate decorate it with archival materials and do your own painting or stamping or printmaking or whatever you'd like to do. So you have a little bit of imagination there, and you want to decorate it and do like put scrapbook stuff on the front or anything you want. Get creative with it and make your own creative sketchbook. A letter opener would be great for scoring. Yes, something narrow or small, but will make a dent but not a cut. All right, a nice clean cut or clean dent in the paper, but not a cut. Anyway, a square format. Let's look at a couple of other options here. So if I had a square format, basically be the same sort of thing as this, but each of the pages would be smaller. But measure very carefully, okay? Measure twice, cut once. Unlike me, who measured wrong and cut it wrong. So, well, that'll just show you what can happen if you don't measure carefully. So, here we go. We'll divide this up. And do the same this way. Oops. And you know, if you wanted to get like really creative, you could even do something like this. So there'll be like an extra flap that comes out of your book, like just a single flap. And so everything's connected here. As long as everything's got a connection of some kind and it can work, you can make it. So try a bunch of different things just with regular printer paper. The acrylic gel medium is used for attaching a cover to your book, to your meander book. So you want something a little sturdy. I don't want to leave just the outside of my nice watercolor paper here as the outside of my book. It'll just get dirty anyway. So I'm going to put a cover on the front and back. It kind of finishes up, gives you something a little more support as you're working with it. But there's my book. Okay, so you can see it up close how it works. Right, and this one opens up this way. So if I wanted a long panorama, I have it in my original book here too. I've got that long format on some of my pages. That was the wonky one that I did, but that's okay. I can still use the book. Like I said, this one's it's just for my own practice and that sort of thing. So that's it. That's my demo today. It's a short one, I guess, but have a little bit of fun trying that. And you know, you can make a mini one to start with if you want to, and just give it a try. This wasn't a very big piece of paper, this one. This was probably, let's see how big this paper was to start for this one. This was just 10 by 11, so I had a odd shaped piece of paper, but it still works. So you can make a little mini one for your pocket, or a larger one, or a really big one if you want to, just as long as you make sure your paper's flat to begin with. All right, so tune in next week. Make sure if you know, I'll ask this because, you know, you guys help me out. And if you know, share with a friend, so let them know. And thank you so much for spending your Groundhog Day with me, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye, everybody.